Quitting is what I'm going to talk about in this video. Now, let me tell you, it's something I've done loads of, so I think I've got a little bit of experience in talking about this. New hobbies, new projects, new plans for the business and what I was going to do with it. I've quit them all, and in all honesty, I've always assumed it was just a bit of a personal flaw of mine. I mean, we can't all be perfect, can we? But if that sounds familiar to you, then keep watching, because recently I've realised something that might just make you feel a little bit better about your situation if you're the same as me. If you're new to the channel, hey up, I'm Dave. Welcome back to my lovely little home office where I run my own solo web design business. It's the place where I've also quit many things over the last 4 years or so. What I'm going to walk you through is a concept that I came across recently, and it goes a little bit something like this. Generally speaking, when we start something new, we will have tons and tons of confidence, but very little ability. So what'll happen is we shoot up here like this, and then we get up to the top of this graph point here, and we realise actually we don't know anything about what we're doing. And all of the excitement that you felt on this build up, all of that confidence, all of that motivation, unlimited motivation that you find, just comes all the way crashing back down into this big dip called the Valley of Despair. Now, what they call this bit up at the top here is Mount Stupid, and it's called Mount Stupid for a reason, because, like I say, this over time, you've got all this confidence, but you've got very little knowledge, and when you get right up to the top of Mount Stupid, that's when you ultimately realise that you know jack shit about what you're trying to do, and all of that motivation dwindles, and then you end up right slap down here. Now, the reason I'm talking about this bit is because what happens when you get to the Valley of Despair, and what certainly happened for me before in this point, is that is when I've thrown the towel in and said, stuff it, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm going to quit. And generally speaking, it's at that point there where everything goes out of the window, and it's just another thing added on to the failure list. But what you need to realise, and what I've realised, is that over time, what happens is you start coming back up this graph here and effectively start becoming an expert in what you're actually doing. But this bit here is what takes the time, it takes the effort, until you actually get up to this point there where your skills and your knowledge actually match the level of confidence that you've got. What I'm realising now is, let's say for instance, an example that I can talk about quite easily is my journey of marketing my business on LinkedIn. Now, when I first started maybe 3 or 4 years ago, hitting LinkedIn and posting on there quite regularly, I obviously looked at all the influencers on there. I started listening to what they were teaching and saying, this is what worked for me and this is what you've got to do if you want to succeed. And I thought, well, if they can do it and the way they're making it sound dead easy, then why is it not going to work for me? So obviously this is where I came straight up here. Loads of confidence, thinking it must be easy. They've done it. They've got millions of followers, blah, blah, blah. They make it look so simple. And then obviously get up to the top expecting to be getting loads of leads and loads of sales from it, realising actually got nothing from it at all. And that's when the motivation would drop and I'd end up right back there. So I probably quit what I was doing on LinkedIn maybe 3 or 4 times. But where I'm probably positioning myself now would be somewhere more around this point here. So now that I've actually stuck to something more consistently, and I'm now actually seeing the results, my skills are in terms of how I write posts on LinkedIn, the type of content that I put out, my content strategy on LinkedIn is now really, really starting to pay off. And what I'm seeing from that is my confidence is going through the roof again. I'm feeling motivated when I'm actually coming to do stuff on LinkedIn. And as a basis of that, I'm actually starting, because my skills have improved along this course of time over the last 3 or 4 years, I'm now starting to reap the rewards and actually getting the results in terms of new leads coming through consistently and getting onto booked sales calls and ultimately closing more new clients. The realisation that I've come to is most of the things that I've ever started before, I've quit far too soon. I think it doesn't help when you're kind of looking at influencers and people online who have maybe got up to this point and they're teaching you the knowledge that's got them to this point. What a lot of them don't ever tell you is how long it's actually taken, all the mistakes that they've made along the way, and all of the difficult things, and how they've actually got through this part of their curve to become up at the top of that graph. I think it's because of that, and also because of obviously them trying to market to you and obviously sell you their courses or their coaching plans and stuff like that. Their job is to make it look as easy as possible and get you to your dream point as quickly as possible. but all they're ever really getting you to at the most is the Mount Stupid. Usually at that point, that's where they drop you like a stone, and then that's where you hit rock bottom again and come straight back down to there. And 9 times out of 10, and again, I'm only ever going to speak from my own experience. I've bought courses, I've bought coaching plans, and generally speaking, very, very quickly, within a few weeks of starting, this is where I end up, and then you end up turning to them and thinking, their hack didn't work, their coaching program didn't work, they're shit, I'm going to move on to the next thing now and try something else. And then the cycle continues over and over again, back up to the top, and then all the way back down to the bottom. And just keep this graph in mind, because this has been really helpful for me recently. You've just got to push through this frustrating point here. You've got to get out of that valley of despair and keep climbing up this hill here. But it does take time, it does take effort, and it takes a hell of a lot of patience. You've just got to stick with your conviction that what you're doing is right. Eventually, you're going to get to where you want to be, which is up here with the knowledge and the confidence and also the results to show for it. The reason why I'm doing this video at this time of year, it's the 31st of December today. Most of us are going to be coming into the new year with new goals, new plans, new things that we want to try. And just remember this graph. You know, when you start something completely new, your knowledge is going to be at zero, your confidence is going to be sky high, but eventually you are going to come back to that valley of despair point. Just keep pushing through, because ultimately it becomes worth it when you do get up to this point here. So I hope that helps. And if you haven't done so already, if you've watched through to the end of the video, thank you very much. Do me a favour and subscribe to the channel, where I'm going to be speaking a lot more about my own experiences of running my own solo web design business. And hit the like button on the video, drop a comment below if you've struggled with sticking to your goals or sticking to things that you've started in the past. Love to hear your experiences too. And again, Happy New Year, happy 2026, and I'll see you on the next video.